Wanna talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna
Good evening and welcome. It's Talk to Solomon time. That's me, Stan Solomon. I'm riding solo. Chief Steve is on his way to his daughter's wedding, and we're still waiting for Brent to call in. But we have our good friend Larry Pratt, the Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. Larry, how are you?
I'm well. Good to be with you, Stan.
It's always a pleasure. Larry, I want to start by going down to the great state of Alabama to a small city named Gunterville, where the mayor, Lay Dollar, as opposed to Standing Dollar, I suppose, is, oh, my mic is, okay, I'm having a problem with my mic. At any rate, the mayor there has decided that they want to be able to disarm citizens during, well, shall we say, times of trouble. Are you familiar with this?
No, but it sounds like the same rationale we heard coming out of the nut jobs that were running New Orleans after Katrina. That the very time when people need their ability to protect themselves the most with their firearms, that's precisely when these Jaspers want to disarm them.
Now, the logic is it makes it safer for the police, it makes it safer for the authorities, and basically...
Oh, let me jump in right there. The police aren't going to be anywhere around, so they don't have to worry. We need to worry about the homeowners who are only going to be surrounded by rapists, muggers, looters, and other assorted better citizens, you know? So the police being concerned about this, I think is totally irrelevant.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm just saying their rationale is it makes it safer for the authorities, but the reality is if ever there is a quote-unquote breakdown, it is the law-abiding, moral citizens who back the authorities that will put the authorities in a position to actually be effective. Otherwise, they simply become targets.
Yeah, it's a pretty sad reasoning process, and hopefully these people will be removed from office quickly. Well,
they have my vote. Now, there's a major campaign for gun control, which certainly you know, that's what you do. Feinstein's draconian gun control bill is going to get a vote in the Senate in committee. Very possibly they'll pass it out of the Senate, although you don't think so. I don't know. You'd know better than I. I don't think it can get through the House, but the reality is that they really believe that they can BS the American people, and part of that is this phony Twitter campaign where they're creating these phony accounts to have all these people that are concerned that people have guns. Are you familiar with that?
Is this something similar to AstroTurf we could call Twitter turf?
There you are.
Really embarrassing to get caught doing something like that. What you're talking about, of course, was the completely artificial generation of quote-unquote grassroots support for the president's gun control, and it turned out it was one guy behind a curtain with an array of, I forget the technical term of them, but he was generating computer input, making it look like there was a grassroots wave, when it was just like, what's the name of that, where the guys behind the curtain.
Wizard of Oz.
And, that's all it was one guy making all that noise.
Well, I'm sure he was on the payroll. We probably were paying him with government money. One of your co-organizations, the Second Amendment Foundation, I mean separate, but also working on the Second Amendment issues, has talked a unique concept, and I wondered if you've heard about it and your thoughts, where they're saying self-defense is a human right, every bit as much as any other human right that you want to allude to.
Yeah, that's, I think, a pretty good argument, and it's a strange one only here in Washington and some other government centers. But because there, I think, in some of these rarefied atmospheres, the view is that that's only for the professionals. Well, most of us don't buy into that, leaving it to the professionals. The professionals actually don't do a very good job anyway, if only because there are not that very many of them, and there's just simply no way they can take care of business. So their main job, the professionals, the police, is to write a report, and their main instrument at work is a yellow tablet, not a handgun. And there's so many people that I guess have the idea that 9/11 is a magic bullet, and they're certainly trying to tell the people of Washington, D.C., Chicago, and other urban centers that they can't carry concealed. They make it difficult for them to get any kind of firearm, and then they're surprised that their crime rates are still very high.
Well, I think the argument, the specious argument, that gun control cuts down the number of fill-in-the-blank homicides, rapes, robberies, assaults, attempted murders has been disproven by what happened in Washington, D.C., and what's happening now in Chicago. Would you not agree?
Yeah, it's just the opposite of what they think, and they keep claiming the same thing in the face of the embarrassing daily death toll that occurs in these urban centers. Meanwhile, you go over to a place like Fairfax County, Virginia, which its politics are purple, but it's in a very red pro-Second Amendment state, and there are all kinds of concealed carry permit holders in Fairfax County, large urban county where Gun Owners of America is located. The murder rate is 0.3 per 100,000. It's less than England. It's one of the lowest in the world, and yet we are awash in guns. The NRA is headquartered in the county as well as Gun Owners of America. There's just all kinds of pro-Second Amendment activity in this county, and I would argue, not surprisingly, the crime rate's rather low. Why should a criminal come out to Fairfax County, where he knows we're armed to the teeth, when he can go into Washington, D.C., and where even if somebody has a gun, he's not going to be able to legally have it on the street, so the attacks on persons continue apace in Washington, D.C., out on the street. They just do such an excellent job making life easy for the criminals.
Brent Johnson joins us. Brent, how are you this evening?
I'm doing great, Stan. I'm glad to be here, and sorry I missed the first few minutes.
No problem. We're talking with Larry Pratt, as I'm sure you've already heard and recognize his mellow tones.
Hi, Larry.
Good evening.
The attempt by the left to change the mindset of the American people is drawing some curious advocates and some curious adversaries. There are a whole lot of black leaders that are saying gun control equals people control, equals black people control, equals no way in hell on my watch. Your thoughts, Brent?
Well, I think it's actually very profound to say gun control equals people control, because that's exactly right. Best way to control a gun is to learn how to use it properly. Then you have gun control. Gun control is people properly using their firearms. This whole thing is indeed designed to disarm the population. One of the most famous gun control quotes ever made was made several decades back about a head of state who said that, for the first time in history, we have a civilized society that has absolute total gun control. It is a model for the future. And the head of state who said that was Adolf Hitler.
I was just going to quote.
Yeah, and if you go back through the last few hundred years and just take a look at the regimes that have had gun control, strict gun control, you'll see that tremendous numbers of people were simply brutalized and slaughtered in Mao's China, in Hitler's Germany, and in Idi Amin. Gun control is indeed people control. If you don't want to be controlled, don't give up your guns.
Now, Larry,
no matter what the law says.
Excuse me, Greg. Larry, are we seeing some black leaders, liberal black leaders, standing up to this?
I think we're slowly beginning to see something. I saw a headline, which I didn't pursue this week, which had a picture of a group of black leaders who were speaking out for the right to keep and bear arms. And I thought, we are making headway. The reality of a violent society, apparently, at least for people who have to live in it, as opposed to academics and others who kind of are above it all, and maybe it's beginning to get through.
Well, one would certainly hope. Now, there was a Secret Service agent who made the statement just in the last few days that I just quoted. He said, don't let them tell you it's gun control, because it's really all about people control. And this is a man who was in the Secret Service for many years. He said, I never saw a gun aimed without a person holding it or behind
Absolutely.
it.
I think that might have been Dan Bongino, who ran for United States Senate in Maryland, was at one point in the Secret Service detail protecting the president in the White House. The guy's the real deal. And like so many rank-and-file cops, if you will, he doesn't buy into the gun control argument. That's primarily something that comes from chiefs of police who are political appointees, and even if they might not agree with gun control, if they're going to keep their job, if they're going to get their job, they're going to, at a minimum, be quiet, and very likely they'll be expected to say amen to various gun control policies being pursued by their bosses. So it's nice that this guy, who is free to speak now that he's no longer in Secret Service, is speaking the way he is. I think it's very helpful.
Brent, we've all talked about the inordinate amount of ammunition being purchased by non-defense government agencies. Fill in the blank. The dog catchers, the Social Security office, the janitors, whoever. It seems like everyone in government has at least a couple million rounds and some semi and fully automatic weapons being ordered or being utilized. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I think you bring up a very good point, Stan. By the way, I happen to think it's brilliant the way the media is making this into, or at least some people are making it into, a racial discrimination issue. I think politically, that's a brilliant way to approach this. But for years, for decades at this point, we've been seeing military equipment in local cops and local sheriffs' departments. The reason is Homeland Security, the American Gestapo, is giving them money to buy it. And they're taking money from the American people and giving it to these people and telling them, go out and buy these things, and it's turning America into a military police state. They even use military words all the time now. They talk about when the police deploy. Deploy is a military term, very specifically a military term. But it has become like just part of the language that you see it every day. The cops deployed, the SWAT team deployed, and the distinction between police and military has become very, very blurred, and we should all be very concerned about that. That's that ushers in a police state dictatorship if we let it. Larry is still there.
I am still here. Sorry, I didn't know you were finished, or it was my turn.
Your thoughts about the militarization of our various and sundry local, state, and regional authorities?
The whole idea of police has lost the original context or meaning, which was a power inherent in the people that we delegated, and for some time I think it was pretty well understood that that was the case. There was no police department of any kind until I think it was 1815 in Boston, Massachusetts, when they established a daytime police that didn't even have anything at night, and then it grew from there. But the idea for the longest time in our country, well into the 19th century then, was that the police power is something that belongs to the people. And certainly as the country moved west, that was also understood. The notion today that somehow we just leave this to the professionals is not the idea that America came into existence with, and I think we need to remind ourselves and everybody else that it's not a good idea to have a monopoly of police power in some concentrated place. Police power, when it's inherent in the people, means by definition it's diffused throughout society, and that is, I think, by design to keep it from being so easily abused.
Now, we have sheriffs in every county, parish, political subdivision of choice in each state. The idea being that was an elected police official, but a sheriff, the way they were set up, was a relatively small cadre that then turned to the people when they needed staffing, when they needed manpower, right?
They would issue what was called a hue and cry, which at one point was law that you had to obey. So if the sheriff came to you in town and to some other townspeople and said, I have this need and I need you in my posse now, well, that wasn't a request. You had to do it under penalty of law. And that way the sheriff could get his forces together quickly. They could pursue a bank robber or do whatever it was that they needed to do. Then I guess we kind of developed to the idea that, well, it would be more convenient if we had paid professional deputies. But at least during all of this time, and still for the most part, for the overwhelming part today, the sheriff is elected, and even if he has a professional staff under him, and it might be very large, as, for instance, Sheriff Arpaio's is in Phoenix, Arizona, it nevertheless is answerable to an elected official. And that just makes a big difference, even among the professional staff, because the boss obviously needs to be respected as somebody who's the voice of the people in their line of command. So I think that's a very worthwhile institution for us to defend, to maintain, and I think it's even to a certain extent making a comeback. People are more appreciative, I think, of the elected sheriff because it's this guy or gal that's the one standing up increasingly to abusive federal claims of authority, and the sheriff can very properly say when the feds are exercising or trying to exercise illegitimate authority, which is not in the Constitution for them to exercise, get out of my county or I'll arrest you.
Well, hopefully, we're able to impress sufficiently federal authorities that they don't push that to the mat. Let me ask you, Larry, in Washington, we know that there is a full court press by this administration and by the Democrat Party to try and put into place, quote-unquote, gun control. We're hearing that the Republicans have already agreed to background checks, to magazine size limits and those type of things. Don't know what's true or not. What can you tell us?
I don't think there's been such an agreement. I think there are some individual Republicans that are getting dangerously close to caving, and one of them that's concerned us the most is Senator Tom Coburn of Oklahoma, who should be a strong supporter of the Second Amendment, but has, I think, unduly been influenced by Senator Schumer of New York, with whom he has a close personal relationship, and that seems to be clouding his thinking. But by and large, I think we're still able to say it's not likely that a ban is going to pass, nor even one on magazines, let alone firearms. There's a big fight over a background check, which is really a universal registry. If they get a universal background check, that's really what it's all about. I don't know that there's better than a 50-50 chance they're going to get that. There's certainly going to be one doozy of a fight, and by the same token, I don't know that they're going to get any legislation on trafficking. What they've done is not bad legislative tactics. They started out by saying, well, we want to ban what they call assault weapons, which are actually defense firearms. We want to ban those. And, okay, we were just kidding about that, but the magazines, that's really where the problem is. Now they're talking about the universal background check, and they've begun talking about the banning trafficking, meaning if they would penalize heavily if you sell a gun to somebody privately without going through a background check, which is quite legal now, and it turns out the person, unbeknownst to you, maybe 25 years ago, had a felony amount of marijuana on his person, and in some cases even a misdemeanor amount, or just a personal consumption amount. That alone could make you a felon, subject to many years in jail for having sold a firearm to that person who's not supposed to be buying a firearm, even though you didn't know it. And in some cases, the person that's disqualified doesn't realize he is, because it was so long ago, he didn't actually remember it. It was way back 30, 40 years in his past, different person now, didn't realize the significance of that on his record, didn't realize what had happened with the law today that made that a big deal now. So there's a lot of reasons why people can get tripped up on this, and I think we just got to get away from the idea of background checks altogether. We know that they don't lower crime. Studies have been done. One of them was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, not exactly a pro-Second Amendment entity, to the fact that background checks don't have any effect on lowering crime. But it is an exercise that enables the government to find out who has the guns, name and address, and that's information the government shouldn't have, and yet we know that they are keeping that information illegally. They're supposed to only keep it for a day, but they won't even talk about how long they actually are keeping it. So I think we've got a real problem here, and the debate is over whether or not there should be an expansion of the background check. The debate really needs to be over when are we going to get rid of it.
All right, well, we're just about out of time, Larry. Where can folks go to get the updates so that you can keep them apprised of times they need to get on the phone or on the email or on the fax machine with their representatives?
They can get to us at gunowners.org. That's really the easiest way, and there's a way to sign up for our email alerts on that website. We hope they will do that. Those alerts basically help them be, with very little effort, a citizen lobbyist, and be able to fire off their own email that we'll write for them. And those efforts have just made a wonderful difference. So we'd like to see people continue to join, continue to swell the numbers so that our impact can be even greater.
Larry Pratt, Executive Director of Gun Owners of America, thanks so much for being here on Talk to Solomon with Brent Johnson of Freedom Radio US and us. And we'll look forward to seeing you in a couple, 3 weeks.
Thanks, gents. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll be back shortly with Andy Mangione from AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, talking about, is socialism just around the corner or is it already here? We'll be right back. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com, check it out. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put it on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 supercolloidal silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get supercolloidal silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's the kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you, and you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do.